Hey, I'm Zeb.
And I'm Maddy.
And welcome to the We Don't Know Yet podcast. Whilst both Maddy and I are healthcare practitioners, we understand that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to healthcare. Should you require any medical attention, please seek out your local healthcare practitioner.
Yeah. Plus, it looks really cool. I don't know if I'm just being sucked into the socials of the gyms I've been looking at, but I'm like, damn, that looks like really cool. I don't know.
It looks badass, doesn't it?
Badass.
Badass.
Oh.
Cool. Well, everything's set up and recording.
All right. Beautiful.
Happy days. Happy days.
Intro us?
Yeah, nice. Well, let's just start by I never know how to start this thing. Once the flow gets going. Hang on.
Oh, just say hello.
We'd like to take a break from today's episode to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Drip Digital. They manage all of our audio and video editing as well as our social media marketing. Without them, the We Don't Know Yet podcast wouldn't be possible. So thank you again.
I was asking in our last episode, Zeb and I were chatting because one of my things, I was like, let's just start the podcast like pretty cash like this. And we were chatting and I was asking him about something. And he's like, we were talking about it. And then he goes, we're recording, by the way. I was like, yep, that was the intro.
Yeah, we were talking about how many coffees I have in the morning or something.
That was it.
And she was like, oh, you have a smoothie. What do you have in your smoothie? And I thought she was just asking me a question
in his mind, he was like, why is she asking me so many fucking questions?
I was like, wow, I feel slightly interrogated about my morning routine.
Yeah, I'm getting attacked by this.
Yeah, I was just like showing interest in his morning coffee. And I was like, surely he's picking up what I'm putting down.
Nope. I was completely oblivious.
You have to be very specific with Zeb. I reckon I've learned.
Yeah, like really just dialed in. You have to have my full attention, otherwise I'm just a bit scat.
We are now recording.
Yeah, that's like the perfect cue for me.
Yeah, I love. We need the little like movie things, like the snappy. Yeah.
Go time.
Oh yeah, action.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one that you guys are thinking about, right?
What's the weather up there for you?
Stunning, actually, at the moment. It's been raining flat out, though. Like, it's very tropical. And the locals have even said, because I'm obviously not local here yet, the locals have said that it's been really, really wet. So I'm struggling in the heat. The humidity is crazy.
Yeah, we're copping a heap of humidity as well here.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's the same for us with you guys. Like, Sydney's like similar humidity because it's just so many people living in the same place.
Really?
But today, it's sunshine, so I can't complain.
Sunshine.
Amazing. Do you ever go for like a surf or a swim after work just to like decompress?
Yes,
Are
definitely.
you big on the surf train now?
I did actually more surfing when I was in Torquay, and my
nice.
board up here doesn't seem to agree with the waves. Maybe it's my surfing ability.
It's all the equipment that you're using.
Definitely the board. But the beaches here are different because it's open beach, so the waves are more like rolling. So I feel like I need a longer board to help me like get up quicker.
Yeah, nice.
I haven't really been out because I've actually been out on many surfs here and not caught a wave. So
I do that all the time. I'm like, I just went for a surf. Little do they know I sat out the back the whole time.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I bought a surfboard last year maybe, and it was like a one-off experience to me where I got out the back and I just like sat and watched Maddy. Yeah, Maddy's leg rope broke at the same time, so me and her just like sat out the back and just like talk dribble for I don't know how long while Lewis and Kate were just they were going in and out and in and out.
I was terrified of going back in because I didn't have a leg rope. Like I had it, but it snapped like where the Velcro is, the leg rope actually snapped. So I had the Velcro still around my like ankle, but the thing wasn't connected, if that makes sense. So I was like, fuck, if I come off this board, like it's probably going to hurt somebody. So I'll just stay out the back.
It's stressful. And I think there's nothing wrong with just watching people go by.
Yeah.
That's so therapeutic though. I love
100%.
it.
It was very nice. You just lie on your back.
Yeah.
Go.
There's
Up
nothing
a few times though from memory.
I think maybe like the only time I actually went to try and catch a wave was when I was ready to go in.
Yeah, true.
And
It was fun. It's fun though, and it's therapeutic. Like I just love sitting out there. It's nice.
Yeah, it is.
so nice. And something about the waves. I think I heard someone say the oxygen levels 1 meter above the water of the sea is like the best quality oxygen you can get.
Oh.
Whether that's scientific or not, I don't know. But I really do feel that when you're sitting on a board and you're just chilling out.
You can take some big deep breaths, hey?
And you're just floating. I don't know. It's just good for your body.
Zen.
I love that. Speaking of breath, tell us a little bit about what you've just done, all the breathwork stuff. Sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just hosted a breathworks workshop and it was about helping people connect to their breath and regulate their nervous system. I think so many people at the moment, and you probably feel the same with your clients, just don't know how to breathe properly. And I think with the stresses of life at the moment, with COVID and everything that's been going on, a lot of people are chest breathing, which is causing a lot more anxiety within the body and forward postures. So a lot of my patients came along and just, was able to give them a bit more anatomy with why we need to breathing through our nose instead of our mouth. And it was awesome. It was so good. And the reception was awesome. Everyone learned something. And I think they're going to actually be able to implement that into their everyday life. So
which is sick. You had such a good turnout. It looked unreal.
That's amazing. On a slight tangent, but like with the whole mouth breathing thing, I have no idea if it's fact or fiction rather. But like a few of my friends and colleagues have been telling me just how bad mouth breathing is. And I'm a self-confessed mouth breather. So I'm like, oh no, like, do I need to I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much that we could go through.
Yeah.
That's a real deep dive. I feel. I'm a bit nervous.
Okay.
We can. But nose breathing is really good because it's our natural humidifier, our natural filter for anything that's coming in through the body. So we don't want to breathe in all the particles of our environment. So the nose breathing is good for that. It also releases nitric oxide, which helps with our blood dilation. So it helps with our body actually taking in oxygen. And then just a quick deep dive into mouth breathing actually changes our way our cranial facial development happens, especially in children.
Yes,
So,
I've seen photos and I'm like, oh my God, that's terrifying.
But like looking at your face, you don't seem like you have those characteristics. So that's
the past year I've been trying like when I'm not when I'm not talking, I've been trying to do, I don't know if you've seen it on TikTok. The mewing thing. Have you heard of mewing?
No.
It's like, okay, I need to, it's like an actual thing. So I don't know, again, it could be bullshit, but people like you put your tongue up the top of the roof of your mouth and then like try and flatten it along the roof of your mouth and then keep your mouth closed. So it like keeps your jaw like, I can't do it.
Oh no.
Hang on. I can't do it. I'm too embarrassed. But like, apparently it's really good.
No, but I feel like that's such a big thing. Like we did a cranial osteo course not long ago, and we were talking about like how the tongue's meant to splay the top, like the palate, the soft palate, and actually help open up your airways in through your nose and things like that. It helps with like a lot of the passageway.
Interesting.
I could be well.
Sorry.
Go.
The reason they want your mouth closed is it actually creates your jaw to be in alignment. So when it's open, your TMJ is actually slightly translated. So when your jaw is actually closed and you want to be touching lightly. So you don't want to be like clenching your jaw. But when touching lightly, it actually sets the TMJ in the right position.
Oh my God.
The thing is though, a lot of us have had orthodontics, right?
You.
Orthodontics is not always about what's best for your airways. It's about straight teeth. And my jaw is actually off-centered to make sure my teeth are straight, which is so, which it's not always the best answer to have straight teeth if your airways are going to be included. But it's really interesting about.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Last week I
actually deep dive about that.
I know. I feel like we need to do a whole nother episode just like dedicated to it. Last week I actually I bought like the light like butterfly clip sort of tape and taped my mouth shut.
Yeah, that's a full thing.
Put in like a nose plug when I went to sleep. It was a bit scary. Jack was like, "What the actual fuck?" But I slept so good.
Yeah, we do it a bit. We tape. Gab and I tape at night time sometimes. Yeah. We try and make sure we're pretty consistent with it, but we forget sometimes because we're just really tired. And it takes a while to adjust to too. Like the first few times we did it, put the tape across our mouth, like woke up and like had to rip the tape off just because I was like, what is happening? I can't breathe.
I did rip mine off in the middle of the night, only just because I was thirsty though. I was like, I actually need to drink water. I'm really thirsty. But though I left the nose thing in it, like really opened up the airways. It was good.
There you go.
Yeah. That's good.
Huge deep dive there. I love that. I love that from us.
I'm very interested. I feel like breath is so hot right now.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a hot topic.
It is a hot topic, but it's been a buzzword for ages. It's just I don't think anyone's been able to put all the pieces together. A lot of people thought it was like woohooey, but it's actually
the woohoo's becoming the norm now, Mads.
It is. I know, this hippie lifestyle, right? But yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's before we deep dive too much deeper.
To our listeners.
Let's actually introduce who we've got on today because I feel like we went in pretty hot off the press there. Yeah, pretty deep. So, Mads, you want to give us a quick run through about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, of course. So I I'm a chiropractor. I studied for about 5 years. Actually, it's 5 years. And then I went on and did my breathwork, meditation, and yoga instructor courses as well. So I love the Eastern medicine approach with the Western medicine approach. I think that's like a really holistic way. And my whole business is run around a holistic approach to helping people regulate and nourish their nervous system of all ages. So helping kids and also adults just learning how to regulate their nervous systems is probably my biggest thing. Obviously, I'm a chiropractor, so I do help people with anything chiropractic related, like headaches and back pain and all those things. But in the end, it really comes down to them having good brain body connection. And yeah, I'm loving what I'm doing right now.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Amazing.
And how do you know us? Let's dive into the journey of how we actually met.
Yeah, so Zeb and I met at uni, specifically uni games, I think it was, wasn't it?
Uni games.
Games.
The greatest thing ever.
What sport? Or is it just like a bit of everything?
Mads was she was a bit like dual wielded. She was flying for basketball and netball at the time.
Lovely.
Did we play mixed netball together, Zeb, or were you
Nah,
basketball?
I didn't play mixed netball. I think we just the netball and the basketball teams are pretty close at uni games.
Yeah. And then just clips, Zeb's a vibe. And I think that's what you
He's a
said.
vibe.
You were always saying that. That's a vibe. That's a vibe.
That's a vibe. Well, we're just very similar personalities, very extroverted.
Extra, yeah. And uni games is fun, right? Like I didn't go to do schoolies or anything like that. So for me, uni games was just like a bit of a let loose.
Yeah.
Go into the real world of full-time work and that kind of thing. And yeah, it was awesome. Uni games was so much fun. You got to meet so many people and you got to play sports, and we actually did partied hard, play hard though, really did.
Yeah, it's a big week or two, and they don't even call it uni games anymore. I think it got a bad rap after a while because everyone just knew that it was a big party up on the Gold Coast where you go and play sport for a week.
That actually sounds so fun though.
Yeah, I know. They changed it to uni nationals, and now it's like really competitive.
It took the fun
Which
away.
is great. No, I mean I like the competitive side. It was always super competitive, but yeah, we definitely
He's ripped and teared after.
Yeah, lived the nightlife pretty well. There was one year actually where I broke my foot and I coached the women's basketball team, and I'd strung arm Maddie into playing for the women's basketball team, and it was like just so much fun because we went Division 2 like uni games. Maddie came up with me mid-year, and then we went to Division 1 uni games as well.
Oh my
later in the year.
God.
So good.
Your uni experience sounds so fun compared to mine. Like mine was fun, but was not this fun. I'm just very jealous.
Yeah,
It
we had it all right.
We did have it all right. And chiropractic and osteos got along really well,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Yeah, because we studied it. We studied a lot together, like throughout our 5 years at the uni.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we had in classes together though.
No, we didn't have you a year above me, but I think we regardless, like the cohorts, whether it's because like Harry and stuff were a year. For context, Harry's my housemate that I live with here.
Shout out to Harry.
Shout out to Harry. But Harry and Maddie were in the same year, and like it didn't really matter what year you were in anyway. Like a lot of the times for the social events, we had joint chiro, osteo, like some of the exercise science students would come as well, and we had some of the Chinese medicine students come too. So there were these big social events where you just kind of get swept up in getting to know a big group of different people. Yeah,
I love that. But Mads, you're not down in Melbourne anymore, are you?
No, so I'm in Sunshine Coast now, which I love.
Wow.
We love. How long have you been up there?
2 years. Come March, actually. It's just for me, it's just such a better lifestyle. Like the cold, seasonal depression. It's
you don't like love wearing a Kathmandu every day?
No, I don't.
I love waking up and it's pouring rain.
Yeah, I don't know how we did it, honestly. Like, it's so funny when you move away. Obviously, I love cold therapy, so it's interesting that I don't want to live down in the cold. But just like you wear a bikini to like walking in the beach at the morning, and it's just that people up here are living that, I think, that conscious lifestyle, and I think that's beautiful. So I
love that. That was like also a nice little like sprinkle of your business name into it.
I like that.
Do you want to introduce to our audience, like, obviously your name's Maddy White, but what's your business name? Like, where can people find you?
Yeah, so the Conscious Chiropractor is my name on social media and my website and everything like that. So you can find me there. But my actual Instagram name, is Dr. Maddy White. So it's a little bit confusing. But
you're a doctor. What a flex.
Yeah.
I know. I actually had such an issue with putting it on there.
Yeah.
But my marketing manager was like, Maddie, you need to have your name out there. Like that's who people are following.
Yeah.
She's like, you are a doctor. So it like does give you more credibility. And it sat with it for like 2 months, I swear.
Yeah.
Nah.
I think we all do the same thing though. You kind of graduate and everyone goes, "Are you going to change your name to doctor?" And I'm like, "Oh, maybe."
Yeah.
Wait, are you a doctor as well?
Yeah, doctor of osteo.
What the hell? I'm a
Yeah.
doctor of dietetics.
No, that's
Take it.
That's so
yeah.
cool.
I do
Yeah.
love it. The conscious chiro kind of came to me. I don't know. I was sitting with that for a long time too, because I was like, people are going to think the subconscious, or like, of course they're conscious because they're alive. But yeah, I think it just really replicates what I want to do and the impact I want to have on people. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think it'd be really cool to chat to you a little bit about what chiropractic is and sort of chiropractic.
Chiropractic.
Right.
Chiropractor.
Yeah, but like osteopathy, chiropractic. No?
No.
No.
Chiropractic.
Yeah.
Chiropractic care.
Okay.
Chiropractic care.
Chat to you a bit about what you do for a living, because like personally, I actually don't know that much about it. Again, in Sydney, I think it's bigger than osteopathy. Oh, impressive me there.
Nice. Good
Thank
one,
you.
Mads.
But yeah, again, like I'm really keen to hear for selfish reasons a little bit more about what you do and what that involves and what it looks like.
Yeah, of course. And I get asked this all the time. And a lot of people, not saying they're not educated people, but they're not educated about what chiropractic does. And I think that's my biggest thing that I'm trying to educate people on, is that a lot of people think we just crack bones and we're just like aligning the skeletal system. But chiropractic is all about the nervous system. You know, we study for 5 years about how we receive information into the brain and how our body then actually responds to the information from our brain to like our motor pathways. And I think chiropractic is just so much more than aligning the skeletal system. And the way I like to describe it is that it's like an ice cream cone. Okay, so our spine is actually the cone. It's basically the foundation that our brain sits upon. And then the ice cream is the brain. Okay, so we need good communication between our brain and body. And every nerve has a different job within the body. And that's our job to know that. So you don't need to know that. But what happens is people come in with a lot of symptoms, and you can kind of see what's going on with their posture and why those nerves might be irritated. And by helping them improve their posture, they actually get better brain body connection, and you know, you're more regulated. So there's just so much more to chiropractic than just adjusting things for the sake of adjusting it and making sure that your alignment is level. Because when you have a pelvis that is aligned, or a body that can communicate, it can self-heal, it's regulating itself. Our bodies are so miraculous in what they can do. And if we can set the foundations right for it, it's going to just do what it needs to do to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I don't want to dive into the misconceptions too early, but I think you're right. Like chiropractic practice is one of those things that's really misunderstood and kind of given a real bad rap from the beginning. When people actually haven't been to a chiropractor before, they're just kind of, you know, heard through the grapevine that chiropractors crack joints and, you know, just like people hear through the grapevine that osteopaths only treat bones. And, you know, like it's one of those things where there's a bit of a misunderstanding and misconnect on, you know, what chiropractic care actually looks like. Because it is really holistic, right?
It's really holistic. But then again, like, we might as well jump into the misconceptions because it kind of makes sense.
Let's just dive into it.
But then again, like, it depends on, you know, chiropractic has evolved so much between now and what people would have seen 70 years ago, because our scientific research and all those things have kind of evolved. Yeah. And then on top of that, every chiropractor is so different. There's such a range in chiropractic in terms of how you approach the body. So there's some people out there that just are very vitalistic and maybe do 1 or 2 adjustments and kind of let the body do their thing. But then there's a whole range and spectrum of how you can adjust. And I think some people go to one chiropractor and have a negative experience, and they kind of put that as a blanket for all chiropractic.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing would be to make sure that you find someone that you really
shop around.
Yeah, shop around and find someone that works for you. And that's the same. I think this is where this podcast really came from, because me and you, Zeb, were sitting having dinner in Sydney, and you were asking me questions, and you're like, yeah, I just like never fully understood like the differences between us and like why, you know. And
because like even in my own like head still, I don't really see a difference in like goal of treatment or management, right? So for me, like, and this has been something that we've spoken to a few guests on here already about, it's like, I'm an osteopath by label, but at the same time, I know osteopaths that treat like chiropractors or that use the same techniques and primary toolkit as like a chiropractor versus what I would like think about in my head as more like primary osteopathic techniques. But like we all have the same goal in mind. It's, you know, and it's not one of those scenarios where it's like you're better than me or I'm better than you. It's one of those scenarios where it's like, well, some people would just resonate with how I as a person actually treat them and they'll stick with me. And some people will really resonate with how, you know, you treat them as a person, and some people won't resonate with either of us. They might just want to go and find their own chiropractor or osteo or someone else, you know, and it's a bit of a unique experience in that sense, which is why, you know, like you said, shopping around is so important, right?
Sounds like everyone just brings, like, whether, you know, you're an osteo, you're a chiro, everyone kind of brings in their own flavor as to how they treat.
Yeah, nice. Flavor of ice cream to go back to the ice cream cone
Yeah.
analogy, right?
What it is, right? Like I would say that every patient that kind of walks through my door due to the law of attraction or the universe or whatever is meant to see me for that reason, right? I really believe that. And if they don't, like, it's totally fine, because we are so individualistic. Like, to think that one person can treat every single person in this world and get a great outcome is just, I think, a bit naive, right? Our bodies are so intricate. Well, I adjust the way that I like to be treated. And I adjust the nervous system the way that works really well for me, because I know that works for me, right? So other people out there that would be having that same approach. So I adjust them obviously with their symptoms, and maybe there's a bit differences, but the way that you approach it is going to be your own individual way. And mine is very stress management based. Like if I can calm your nervous system down and get things moving, that to me is really successful. But that's not for everyone, and I'm okay with that. But you've got to be true to who you are as a practitioner. And I think when you try and move away from that as a practitioner, then you're not being authentic and your genuine self. And that's where
I freaking love that approach. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I freaking love that approach. Like, I don't know if it's a Sydney thing, but I find, well, especially in my area of healthcare, like it can be so catty and it can be so competitive. I'm like, there are so many people to see. Like, we're not, you know, even if we all have a full caseload, there's still plenty other people like waiting to, you know, see practitioners. Like, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I'm not articulating myself very well.
No, I'm with you, because at the end of the day, like we have a bit of a limit as well as to how many people within a week that we can treat before we hit that. Like, I'm fatigued. I'm burnt out. I've had too much this week. So, you know, and like you said, people attract people, right? Like someone's going to walk into your room because there's some sort of energy drawing them in through there.
Yeah.
You know, they'll stay with you if they reciprocate that energy past that initial consult. But like if they don't and it's just not the right fit, then that's okay. There's going to be another practitioner down the road that'll, you know, might stick with them a little bit.
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest thing about, I work in a place with like 5 other chiros, and I've actually had some people that I'm like, I think you'd be better suited for another chiro. Like, I'm not going to waste my energy on someone that I don't think is going to get the best result with me. And I've gotten to that point that I'm just so confident in what I do and the things that I can do for somebody. But if that's not what that person needs, then that's okay. And I think bring that on for the person and what they need. And that goes same to interdisciplinary. So, you know, do they need a physio? Like, have they hurt themselves? They need a physio, and then maybe come back to me with posture. Do they need more of a massage, you know, an osteo approach? Like, is there fascial components here? I don't know. I'm just really happy to refer people, because when you have those good intentions for the patient, they usually come back, because, you know,
they respect the fact that you respect them.
they're not just a business or a number for me, right?
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
about that connection. And that kind of philosophy has really worked for me. And I think that if we can all just be true to ourselves, that we can't.
Well, before we dive any deeper, because I think as well, people are a little bit tentative, like whether it's an osteo session or a physio session or a chiro session, they're sometimes a bit tentative to step out of what they kind of know, because they don't actually know how the what a little bit of the common practice is. So like, I know that you were talking about the fact that every chiro is different in their approach and how they treat, but like if I was a patient coming into a chiropractic clinic, what would be some typical things that you would want to say that I should expect? if that makes sense.
So it obviously depends on what you're coming in for, right?
Yeah.
Our neurological and orthopedic assessment is going to depend on
Change. Yeah.
you have low back pain, headaches, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see how well you function and move. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to check your cerebellum, so like your balance and how your brain actually perceives where you are in space, especially with your eyes closed, because that's a big falls risk for people if they can't know where they are in space. I am then going to do a big range of motion testing throughout the whole body. So making sure that you actually can bend down and like somewhat touch your toes, or is there limitations in certain movements? Then I'll go into like my neurological and orthopedic assessment. So that's going to be, reflexes and stuff like that, just to make sure the brain body can connect. And then it's about getting them on the table and really, how's the body moving as a whole? I should be able to move you in some way and actually feel give. And a lot of people, they've got really tight traps, back body tightness because of the stress of life. So for me, I'm really looking at how's their tone within their body. And if I touch them, is other parts jolting? Like how on edge are they?
Yeah.
So that's what I'll be looking for. And then I'm looking for, when I start adjusting them, how well do they adjust? How well are they going back to the normal posture? Because for some people that could be really hard, right? They've been out of alignment for years. Like they're not just going to go straight back, right? So that's like a big thing for me, is how easy is it to adjust and move? And then how are they responding? Like, are they being able to communicate still to you and those kinds of things? So there's a lot of nonverbal going on there for me.
Yeah.
I do look at diaphragm every single time. Okay, because if you can't use your diaphragm, you can't breathe properly, which means you're going to have anxiety and bad posture, blah, blah, blah. So for me, breathing's like a massive part. I'm always looking at how well they can breathe. And then at the end of all that, once I've adjusted them and, they're feeling okay, I usually, depending if the person wants to, I would send them for an X-ray if they've never had an X-ray before. The reason for me with that is, one, I love it because the next appointment for me is just an education tool. We get their X-rays. I actually bring up their X-rays and I annotate it with them. I show them what parts of the spine are and really use that to educate them on what's going on. And for a lot of people, especially in this day and age, things are happening more rapidly. Okay, there's degeneration happening in kids that are 25 because of that. So just because of their age, I don't think that's a thing for us not to get X-rays. And I also say that for me personally, if they want to go down that path, I think it's really good to get a set of X-rays when you're younger. So then you know what it is before you get to the point where you're 50.
Like what the baseline is.
What's your baseline? Yeah, exactly. So I don't X-ray every single person. That's not what I'm saying. But if some people coming in and I'm like, look, I really need to see what's going on at these levels before we move forward, then I will. But I do always adjust on the first visit. Okay, I don't believe in people coming to see you and not at least helping them get out of pain. But that's, again, my model. It's not the model for everyone. From there, depending on what their X-rays are and how they actually adjusted, and how when they come back in for that next appointment, how far have they gone back to their old posture and how are they feeling, blah, 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 then we kind of set a plan for them. And for me, it's usually a structural approach first, because I'm a big believer that if we don't get your shoulders back in alignment first, then when we add muscle work to that, you're going to be strengthening the wrong posture. So for me, let's get you structurally right. And then phase 2 is we start moving chiropractic out a lot. I want to get you to the point that you can hold this yourself. And phase 2 for me is about getting them strong in that new posture. So that's refer to a physio, massage, all those kinds of things. Of course, this is independent of where people are at. Okay, some people, but this is just like a rough idea. Overview. Yeah. So then I do a re-exam going into phase 2, and at the end of phase 2, we do another re-exam, and it's just like giving them a plan and this is where we're going. Okay. And for me, most people get to the phase 3 and they're at maintenance. So it's, do they come once every 4 to 5 weeks and just get a checkup? And most people keep going back into their old habits because of their lifestyle factors. And that lifestyle factor is what led them to the issue that they're having now. So for me, that's kind of how I'd run that. Very rough, depending on the person, of course.
Which is good. And I think it's good to have like an overview of what it kind of looks like, even at like an initial consult level. Because like, I mean, I've been treated, like we studied alongside you guys for 5 years. So I've been treated by a chiropractor, osteo, Chinese med, which is great. And it was so nice to see. But, you know, without actually having that firsthand knowledge of what actually happens within a chiropractic consult, I can imagine people sitting there going, I don't know, it sounds pretty like, oh, what's going on? But like if you just spell it out like that for people, it actually sounds really methodical and well thought out. And you know,
you broke it into phases. My brain was just like, oh, this is so nice.
And I think people appreciate that, right? Like I get so many people that just say, oh, they told me to come back next week, but they don't explain it. Okay, for me, it's like the x-rays show me this. This is how long it usually takes clinically that I've experienced. You might be faster than that. You might be a little bit slower than that, but that's kind of the guidelines. And people love it because they've actually got a plan.
Yeah, they got something to work towards. And
I feel like because otherwise it leads to a bit of resentment. It's like, oh, they just told me to come back. And it's like, well, if they're not perceiving the value or the importance of that, then they're more likely to drop out or more likely to be a little bit like stroppy with you.
Yeah. And this, I think, speaks really nicely to the fact, like, and I mean, just because I know you personally, I know that you're a really good communicator, but how important that level of communication, not just as a chiropractor, but as like a healthcare practitioner in general is.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people are just like, oh, don't even know what's going on. No one told me anything. They just told me to come back next week and like, crack the shit.
100%. And I'm curious, like, as Zeb said, like you very articulate yourself very well. Like you sound like such a calming presence. Obviously we haven't met in person. We've met virtually, but it seems like you really hold that space for your clients so nicely. Like what led you down the road? Oh my gosh, my words aren't wording. What led you down the road of chiropractic?
Yeah,
nice. Got it. Nice.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I guess that comes down to a little bit of my story. And yeah, so I saw a chiropractor throughout my whole childhood, and a lot of it was to do with sport. So I was playing high level sport, and he was like my go-to. I would go to him before I would go to like doctors and stuff like that. I had a really close bond with him. He was awesome. He helped me through a lot of he held space for me when I was young. And then I actually had a major car accident in 2012 where I broke my neck, back, sternum, ribs. It was like pretty crazy.
Shit.
And in this neck, I actually got a fusion. I was flown to the Alfred Hospital and got a fusion because it was unstable. And coming out of that, I had 3 months in a brace and like this big thing that came down here. And coming out of that, I couldn't really move my neck very well. And if I didn't have that connection with my chiropractor and someone that believed in me, because not many chiropractors would adjust something that's been fused, and to adjust above and below and actually get the things moving for me and to have the confidence in him, I wouldn't have been able to move my neck the way that I do and come out of that. So he got my brain body connecting again. I actually went to America 3 months later without telling them that it had happened. And it was phenomenal, that experience for me. So I knew that I didn't know what chiropractic was or how it all worked. I was fascinated by it. So when I left America, I studied it. And chiropractic's so much more than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Studying it, being like, what? So then that kind of got me into the chiropractic side of things. But then at the end of my degree, my sister was diagnosed with brain cancer. And actually, she was diagnosed before the degree started. That's why I actually came home. She was diagnosed for 5 years. So over the course of the 5-year degree, I was in pure escapism. I was partying hard, and I was not my car, I was very erratic. Partying hard, and I played high level sports still. I was just like doing everything I could not to slow down. And that kind of all came crashing down at the end of uni and going into 2020, because that was the year that COVID started, but also I just finished my degree, and then my sister passed away in February. I ended up rescuing a dog, which was absolutely crazy. Love him to bits, but he was crazy. I ended up buying a house, so I put myself into financial stress, and then I broke up with my partner as well at the time. So it just catapulted me, and then COVID happened, and I had to stop. We all had to stop. And that's when I started getting into breathwork, meditation, yoga as outlets for me, because I was holding on to so much in my body. I'd spoken to so many people about it, but speaking wasn't doing anything. Like I still felt it all. So for me, that's how I really wanted to then hold space for people, and to hold space for people in terms of what is their body expressing. And that's kind of where it's got me to now. And just love that I can hold space for people and they can come in and their bodies can express through a chiropractic adjustment. You know, we can do a little bit of breath work and get that activated. So yeah, and I'm really passionate about it because it's helped me so much.
Oh my God, I'm tearing up like listening to that.
Yeah.
All right, mate. You've been through you've been through a lot. It's really inspiring.
It is. And so cool. And, you know, like you said as well, it's a really nice profession to be in a sense that you can actually be there to support people through that journey as well. It's not always just about, you know, what you can do for people in terms of that physical sense.
Yeah.
It's also about that, you know, holding space, holding that mental, kind of protecting that aspect of things for people a little bit as well, that can sometimes really help just get someone to that next level or actually help them through that next phase.
I don't think it matters what avenue of healthcare you're in. Like some people just need that space to vent. Like I'm a dietitian and I have people tell me about things that I can in no way, shape or form help them with, but I think they get value from just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, feeling heard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, and I think any practitioner knows this, right? It's just about providing a space for them to either unleash, express, whatever it is. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And I think all my patients that I have, I'm very open with. I probably to the point, you know, we get taught at uni that, you know, you shouldn't share things about yourself. But for me, obviously there's a line, but for me, I'm really open about what I've been through, and I'm really open about being there for them and creating that space for them to unleash, because you need it. That's what I like, and I'm happy to hold that space for them. So for me, I do really kind of go, I'm their friend as well, I think. And a lot of them, I always say, you can reach out on socials. I'll get back to you whenever I can. Like, you know, and I think that creates such a nice flow for people as well. That I'm not just their doctor or their chiropractor. You know, they come to me, you know, just with stuff. You know, sometimes people come and they're like, I'm just feeling really agitated and I just knew I needed to see you. And we don't even go through the appointment, but, you know, that's just for them, that I can be that space for them that they can come to.
Yeah, which is really nice. And so, like, obviously, and like being a health practitioner as well, I know how heavy sometimes that burden can be, holding a space for someone and trying to take on their kind of
stuff.
Yeah, traumas or experiences or whatever they're kind of going through at the minute. Do you have some strategies that you use to try and really kind of take a step back and let yourself unwind? Because, you know, sometimes it is that scenario where you kind of feel like you're getting tightly wound because you are holding that space for people. How do you go about actually just like coming back down to your neutral? Yeah.
It gets easier the more you do it.
Yeah.
But when I first started, I had to go see some people, definitely, especially my first year out, and it was COVID. There was a lot of heaviness, and I was like, wow, is this what chiropractic's all about? But it wasn't. It was just COVID, and everyone, you know, there's nothing really positive to talk about. For me, breathwork's a huge one. Afterwards, going into the ocean, going for a swim, exercising, those kinds of things. But you mentioned it before, there's kind of a cap for me with how many people I can see a week. And I know that if I go over that multiple times in a week, like in a row, I'm going to need to do more work. So once it gets to a point where I'm at, you know, this is my level, I know how much breath work I need to do, and I know how much stuff I need to do outside of work to keep me processing things. And so breath work's a huge one. I actually ended up doing like some tapping releasing after patients. So tapping, and then it's very different, but I held a black crystal too, just to help with some energy stuff. And whether that was placebo, I don't know, right? But it seemed to help. It helped me just to grip onto this rock, and then I did some tapping every time, and I'd always just release after that, and then the next person would come in. So just having little practices like that for me, just to feel like I was releasing. And I'm a big fan in like, whatever way you need to release is the way you need to release.
Just let it go. Let it flow out.
Oh, for sure.
And if that's like screaming at the ocean or screaming into a pillow or like whatever it is, don't just find your own way with that, because there's no one rule for anyone. And if that works for you, awesome. Do you know what I mean? Like, there doesn't have to be scientifically backed research to that's the way that you want to release. So that's probably my it's just find what works for you.
I love that. What do you do? What do you do after work? Sorry, I'm just curious.
I actually, because I think I'm still in that kind of formation years, post study, pre-feeling like I've really got it all worked out in terms of like private practice stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke about a little bit of the burnout episode not long ago, but yeah, I don't know. I think like exercise for me is like a big outlet. And like now, especially considering I've gone back into basketball and things like that, it's just been like a huge chunk of my time just winding down at basketball.
Yeah.
I've started to try read a lot more, like actually just like getting off everything, putting phone down, and just start to churn through some books, because I find that's something that just like really quietens me a little bit, because I am a bit of a loud and busy person at the best of times. So actually like having something where I can sit down and just lock in for a little bit of time has been really nice for myself, just to turn the volume button down.
Love that.
But yeah, that's kind of it. What about you?
I'm learning still, but I have really found after a day of work, especially, like, it's a bit embarrassing, but I like fully belt out a song, like singing at the top of my lungs.
Actually, I saw on your socials the other week you had like a drive home
Yeah.
sing along.
Like I'll sing some weird songs, but like I just sing at the top of my lungs. I'm like, I don't really give a fuck who sees me right now, but it's just such a like, I don't know if it's a somatic release or whatever it is, but it just feels really good.
Yeah, I picture, you know that scenario when you like pull up next to someone in the car and you like turn and look at them and they're just like going at it.
As I approach a red light, I like turn the music down a little bit. I'm like, okay, just act a little bit more normal.
No, let it out. It's that wildness, right? It's not just expression, like fucking let it out. Who cares?
It's so good.
Yeah. And then so I actually really want to take this down a bit of a different pathway, but you know, just to relate that then to people that you manage, because I know that you come from the approach of managing a lot of people's stress in general. You know, a lot of this discussion relates to those people as well, in a sense that we live in a world these days where people are really highly strung and things like that. So do you talk to people about getting on the front foot with a lot of this stuff and starting to implement some stuff that they can use as outlets too? Because just as like we need an outlet a lot of the time, do you have things that you pick up on with people that you're kind of like, all right, you'd probably benefit from just like scheduling out some time in your calendar to just let it go?
Well, I can imagine they'd need that otherwise. And again, like I have no experience or background knowledge like you guys do, but otherwise the body kind of stores it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the biggest thing for me is helping them unstore it. Okay. So finding ways and like leaning into parts when they are sore, or, you know, breathing into that. So that's probably my biggest thing, is helping them regulate in a physical realm. But, you know, depending on the person, it might be, you know, writing things out before they go to bed so they're not got that running mind. Maybe it's supplementation, okay? Maybe it's getting off your phone, all right? Not stop watching the news, because some people are so like empaths that it's really affecting them. So just little things like that, pointing out, you know, do you need to go for a nature walk? You know, when you're walking, did you know that you're calming your nervous system because your eyes are moving side to side? So just bringing their awareness to some of those things is going to, I think, just be in the back of their mind. And then, you know, sometimes it's hard for them to implement because they've been doing it for so long, but I always give homework.
I always feel like as an osteo or as a healthcare practitioner, my job becomes a little bit about, which is, I mean, I don't think it's too much out of scope, but it's almost like a little bit of behavioral change incentivizing, and also, you know, like trying to manage people's lifestyles versus anything, particularly in the treatment room, at the time.
Oh, definitely. And it's about, finding them a way to take control of their own body, right? Like they can keep coming to see us, but really in the end, it's about giving them the confidence to learn about their body, be aware of their body, what's their body telling them, because some people aren't being able to listen, like they don't know what their body's saying, right? So that's probably the big one, is just finding that they're actually finding the communication with their body. You know, they're saying, wow, I woke up really tired today, so I just sat in bed. Amazing. Like, so just giving them little tools here and there so that they can take control, and they have to source resources all the time. You know, breath is free, meditation is free when you know how to do it. So you know, they're spending all this money on things to regulate themselves, but giving them the power that they can actually do it themselves is really probably the main goal.
That's what I'm like the other day I was kind of at a bit of a mental crossroads. I was like, people invest so much money in this, like wellness is really like hot right now, right? And that it's great, like saunas, ice baths, all that sort of stuff. I'm like, But I feel like people are just throwing their money at these things, but not actually doing the things day to day that will prevent them from like being like, oh, I have to go do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, massively. You've got to look at things physically, chemically, emotionally, right? Like the holistic approach. Because if you're only eating well, but then you're absolutely nerve-wracking, you're not looking after your mental health, you're putting all this stuff within your body that's maybe like chemical induced or whatever it is, or wearing makeup that's going to be causing you to have stress reactions or blah blah blah, right? If you're only looking at it from one pillar, it's like a three-legged stool, so that's still going to fall over. Okay, you need to be looking at it holistically. And actually doing the work holistically. Some people are spending, so much money just on chiro, but then they eat crap. And it's like, well, you're going to, so you need to kind of find a way that you can cover all bases within a realm that's affordable for you.
Yeah.
100%. And I think that is where like an MDT, like a multidisciplinary team, is worth its weight in gold. I'm curious, like, how do you in practice sort of position yourself in part of a holistic team?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people come to see me mainly because they're in pain. Okay. So one, that's getting them out of pain. And then, I refer to nutritionists if they're struggling with managing their hormones, depending on, who the person is. And then I refer to physios a lot. I refer, to GPs if they need to go down blood tests and stuff like that. So I've got a really cool team within Sunny Coast that I have those connections with people and we all refer to each other. So I'm really grateful.
It's about setting up like a network for yourself, where you are.
It's the one thing that it's the prolonged sitting in something that is the problem.
Yeah, it's like the alternating between the two.
And that's the thing when you're talking about your chair. It's like, cool, but you need, like, if you're moving around, that's awesome because you're not going to be in the one position for long.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Should we rip in?
Yeah, let's rip in.
Alrighty.
So maybe let's touch on some common misconceptions because I think there is a lot that goes around on social media. There's a lot of, I don't know, I always feel like chiropractors get a really bad rap.
Yeah.
They don't really deserve a bad rap. Like they're just very misunderstood. So maybe, I mean, the biggest one and I think the most obvious one to discuss is the adjustment side of things. I think it's really weird because, and like from an osteo's perspective, we adjust people, but for some reason we don't get this massive bad rap about adjusting people. whereas like chiropractic care involves a lot of adjusting, but you guys seem to really be scrutinized for it. So maybe talk us through, a little bit about, what it actually is and how you guys do it.
Or even just addressing those concerns if you get that from patients that are like, oh, you're going to crack my back or my arm or whatever.
Yeah, we get that asked a lot, okay? And some people are so, especially from GPs, they're a bit hesitant with chiropractic. And it's interesting because physios now can do manipulation, so osteos. So I don't know why we do get a bit of a backlash from it. But everyone, I would say 90% of people come in a bit nervous. And that's something that we have to deal with every single day. And what I always say is, firstly, that we're not actually cracking your bones because otherwise we wouldn't have any bones left. So we'd be in trouble, okay, if it was actually your bone cracking. So the sound is actually air coming out of the joint. And the analogy I love to use is that it's like a Coke bottle. When you open up that Coke bottle, it goes like that. The same when you decompress a joint, it's going to make a little bit of sound because of that.
I love that.
So that's the sound. That's firstly the sound. And people sometimes, that gives people a bit of relief.
Yeah, they're like,
yeah.
And it makes sense to them because they're like, oh, if you're actually cracking my bone, one, it would hurt a lot more and we'd probably be out of a job pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have repeat customers.
Yeah.
And then I think the big misconception is that we have to manually adjust you.
Yeah.
And manually adjust, that manual adjustment to me is when you hear the sound. Okay. I adjust from 2-week-old to 90-year-olds and every single, like on that age group, gets adjusted differently. I'm barely putting any pressure on a baby. Okay. I'm not going to be adjusting them manually at all. All right. And for them, you're only putting the pressure that you put on your eyeball. Okay. So not very hard. Like you wouldn't press very hard on your eyeball. So for them, it's just about, making sure that we get movement and mobility through their spinal column, especially through their dural system. So it's very light. I can adjust like that all the way to a manual adjustment. And there's such a spectrum on that. So if people would prefer a low force adjustment with no manual, we can still get amazing results. And that would be, using drop pieces, maybe doing some distraction work, a bit more muscle work, using a thing called an activator, which is like a little silver tool. And you can kind of put the joint into position and use it that way. So you don't hear any sounds. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that you have to be manually adjusted, and you
Yeah,
don't.
and I think about like, and so many people are like, oh, but you know, I'm going through menopause, like I'm slightly osteoporotic, and I can't go and see a chiropractor because they're just going to try and crack me. And you know, like as when you go through your degree, you learn about all the red flags with patients. So you look at things like what sets up the premise for an adjustment, and what are the things that you look out for where you're kind of like, a manual adjustment isn't going to be a tool that we use today. There's such a variety, but like you said, you guys don't do just manual adjustments.
Yeah.
It's not like you're like,
Yeah, they're not going to get they're not going to get a 90-year-old in with osteoporosis and then just like load them up for a big thoracic cuddle on the table. That's not going to happen.
But some chiropractors are manually manual. So if
Yeah.
you are in that area that you don't want a manual adjustment, or you are osteoporotic, or you have fibromyalgia, or you're a kid and you don't want to go down that path, then looking for someone that does low force.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just about finding the right fit for yourself. So I
Yeah,
think that's the biggest thing. And then I think you mentioned about the misconceptions, and I think we've really covered them all. One, the adjusting side of things. We've covered the fact that not every chiropractor is the same. So trying to find someone that you relate to and you feel comfortable with and you feel like you're getting a good result from.
Yeah.
And then the holistic approach as well. I think some people think that we're only just chiropractic is everything, and some people are like that, but I'm definitely not. I'm definitely about finding that holistic approach for them. So we do actually refer to other people and think, physios are helpful and nutritionists are helpful. And so I think they're probably the main ones that I think are the main exceptions that people have.
Amazing.
Which is awesome.
Well, I guess that kind of covers all the things that we wanted to ask and find out about chiropractic. What in your professional life is coming up for you that our listeners might need to look out for, and I guess, sign up, hopefully.
Yeah, so I just finished the breath work in person, but I am going to be making that an online workshop that people can purchase. Yeah, so that I can reach a wider community than just the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
So it's coming up soon. I'm in the cahoots with making that right now. I am going to be making other workshops, which I'm very excited about. I won't drop any names or anything yet.
A little bit of a tease there, but I like it. Everyone's gonna have to keep an eye out.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is, if you want to follow along, I have just started a blog as well on my website, so theconsciouschiropractor.com.au, and just talking about everything to do with regulating your nervous system. And I do talk a lot on my socials, so you can catch me at Dr. Maddy White on Instagram and The Conscious Chiropractor on Facebook. And please reach out if you have any questions or you want a second opinion on something. I'm really open to any conversations that anyone has.
Amazing.
Oh, one more thing, sorry, I completely forgot. I am doing collaboration with a performance coach in March. So if you are on the sunny coast and would like to come, we met and I just was like, we need to collab, because she has the exact same goals that I want to do for people, and that's create conscious individuals that are going to make an active and positive approach to the communities they're in. And she comes from the mental side and I'm the body side, and that to me is just such a holistic way to look at your body. So that's coming up too, and it's only $35. So
amazing. So where
can
people find that, if they're wanting to sign up?
Beautiful. It is on my link on Instagram. I'm not super tech savvy yet and haven't figured out how to do the rest of it. But it is going to be on my website as well as like a pop-up. So you can go to the website and that will be
We might throw the link as well in the show notes for this. So just in case people are interested to check it out.
Yeah. If you do go onto my website too, and you sign up for the monthly newsletter for nourishing tips of your nervous system, you do get a 50% off voucher as well to come and work with me. But you will also be in the loop with any events that I'm going to be running. So that's probably the easiest way to keep on track if you do.
Amazing. Oh, awesome. Well, Mads, it's been such a pleasure chatting to you and finding out a bit more about what you do. And again, I definitely came into this, into today with some preconceived ideas about what chiropractic was, and you've just totally dismantled all of them, which has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going to have to get you back down to Sydney so we can catch up in person and talk a bit more dribble. I reckon last time we caught up, you were here and you had a big chiropractic what are they called? Yeah, like a conference.
Yeah,
seminar.
I was in Sydney and I was like, Zeb, let's catch up.
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, we're around then. And we kind of grabbed the lot of us, like Harry and Gabby and stuff, and all went in and met Maddy in the city. It was really nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't get in the city enough, and it was good to kind of have someone in there.
It
Like,
is
it was a good
nice.
excuse to go in. So,
Oh, where you guys are though. Oh, the
dreamy.
dream.
It is
Yeah.
great.
I'm coming to visit you guys where you live next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
do it. I'm going to tag along as well. I'd love to meet you in person.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast.
Be the first to know when the next episode drops by hitting subscribe on wherever you catch your podcasts.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at we don't know yet.pod.
See ya.